As promised, it's time for Xperia 1 to face some real competition. How will it compare in a low-light face-off against the newly arrived iPhone 11? Watch carefully the following video.
Hey there guys, welcome back to a new Pixel Peepers video. Tonight we have a special comparison, the newly released iPhone 11, not the Pro, not the Pro Max, just the iPhone 11 versus the Sony Xperia 1. It's a low light comparison. This is 1080p at 30 frames per second on both phones. Let me remind you that the iPhone can record 4K at 60 frames per second, but I chose to be more fair with the Sony and film in 1080p. Let me know what you think about the stabilization, the audio quality, colors, exposure, sharpness, the whole package. And this is 1080p, still at 30 frames per second. The iPhone on my right, a Sony on my left. The iPhone again looks much more stable, and I can see Sony is doing some focus hunting. Stabilization is okay on both phones, it's pretty good actually. The iPhone again seems to capture more light, has a bit wider dynamic range. Also, let me know what you think about sound recording. Sony overexposes the bright areas on the pavement. The iPhone is much better in this respect. All else looks pretty good. And this is 1080p with the wide angle cameras. Again, iPhone seems to capture more light, but I think Sony is a bit sharper. It remains to be seen when I look at the footage on my computer monitor. It is very dark outside. It's more of extreme low light comparison. And this is the ultra wide angle cameras in 4K 30 frames per second. Sony exposes the scene much darker, but looking closely at my phone screens, it seems like it overexposes a bit the highlights. iPhone has better dynamic range. Also, what I love about the iPhone is the smooth transition between zoom. Check out the zooming here. As for Sony, it switches more abruptly. Actually, it doesn't switch at all during the video recording. It is locked on white. And now we have 4K at 30 frames per second. The Sony is on my left, the iPhone is on my right. On my phone screens, the iPhone seems a bit brighter, but Sony seems a bit more sharp. But it remains to be seen when I look at the footage on my computer monitor. Also, let me know what you think about stabilization. We know that Sony is not the best in 4K. Don't know why they don't fix this, but they surely should. the iPhone seems to capture much more light.
It is not really rocket science to see that the iPhone is superior in video recording in all modes with all cameras here. It produces a much more stable video with better, brighter exposure, more flat and natural colors. Sony has audio quality on its side, but not really enough to stand a chance here. Also, don't forget, iPhone is the only smartphone on the market that can record 4K at 60 frames per second with all cameras, be it front or back, with seamless transition between them. Sony could, in theory, deliver equal or better footage with its Cinema Pro app and a gimbal, but then again, iPhone could also use Filmic Pro app and steal the show. As for photography, it is simply a walk in the park for the iPhone. In total, we have 23 photos taken with each phone in all modes and with all cameras, and Sony is better only in 3 of them, the ultra-wide-angle shots. And that is because Apple didn't implement their night mode in the ultra-wide camera of the iPhone 11. All other photos, be it selfies, portrait photos with the back cameras, low-light shots, extreme low-light shots, HDR shots, non-HDR shots, literally every other photo was better on the iPhone. Color accuracy, exposure and details in low light are simply stunning. Sony had no chance. There is no point in commentaries here, you can see that for yourselves and arrive at the same conclusion. Maybe in my next video, where we compare the two phones in daylight, things will stand different, but until then, I will let you watch the rest of the photos. Be patient, grab a snack, as there are many. This is Pixel Peepers, signing out.